We are live on the SideQuest, your wonderful weekly journey into the world of video games and video game culture. And here we are. I'm Dali Tyler, joining you tonight. Joining me, the one, the only Tyler there. Hey, Tyler.
It's one person. You don't have to figure out how to point.
That's right. I can just go like this.
Yeah.
I guess remember, it's always to my left. Brush it off. And it's just us two. Because we are the only ones with, of course, there it is. Yeah, let me show the stage. Hello. I like being called a boy. It makes me feel young. I'm an old man. Being called a boy is good. I feel like
I've been
I'm
getting
90.
gray hair since my early 20s.
Oh yeah, my brother's around that time too. Yep. I don't have any gray hairs at all. Not at all.
Okay, there we go.
Real quick, you can find us at SideQuesting.com, SideQuesting TV on YouTube and Twitch. When you're at SideQuesting.com, hop into our Discord because we have a good time over there. Don't we, Tyler? We have a good time.
Oh, yeah, we have a great time. You can see stories like me hitting a swarm of wasps at the top of a roller coaster yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Dude, tell me about that.
Yeah, so yesterday we went to a theme park that's pretty close to us, about 2.5 hours away, Dollywood. It is Dolly
no
Parton
relation.
Park. Yeah, no, Dolly Parton. It is her theme park in her hometown of Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. And one of the rides there is it's mine and my wife's favorite. Wild Eagle. It's like got these like big like eagle wings, or the seats are on. It's one of those with it like your feet are hanging free. So we're in the very back. We're cresting the first hill. And I don't wear my glasses on roller coasters because I get paranoid about them flying off. So I didn't have my glasses on. Everything's just kind of blurry. I see like a dot flying around. My wife's like, "There's a wasp." I'm like, "Okay, there's a wasp. That's fine." And she's like, "Wait, there's a whole swarm of wasps." And I'm like, just like a whole bunch of them. I can see them like just blurry buzzing around. And then like right as I'm starting to get like worried about like how close they are and like how slow we're ascending, the coaster finally reached the top of the hill, and then we started to descend. And since we were in the back, we just kind of flew up the rest of the hill and then like went down. And then we talked to the ride attendant after, and he was like, "Yeah, we're aware. There's a nest up there. Usually they stay on the other side of the fence."
Ooh.
And we're like, "Listen, if somebody's like allergic and gets stung, that's the beginning of the ride. It's the top of the first hill. They've got to get through the whole rest of the ride before they can do anything."
Yeah, they're dead.
So yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That was a little terrifying. I'm not allergic, but I've always had like a childhood fear of like bees and wasps. I got into a nest when I was like 2. So
okay.
But yeah, no, that was terrifying. But other than that, was a fun time. We took our daughter; she enjoyed it. We went with some relatives, so we were able to do some coasters. We didn't just leave her alone to ride it. But yeah, no. Aside from that, it was a fun time.
Awesome. That's where we, like you said, you can find that story in the Discord. You can also join the Discord as one of our wonderful Patreon members, and thank you to our fantastic Patreon folks who help us keep the boat afloat, as we like to say. It is expensive as fudge out there, so any little bit helps. You don't have to. No one has to. But we just want to thank the folks that are. Thank you to our executive level, Punctified, who got a shirt and is going to get something else cool in the mail, so be ready for that. Thank you to our producer, Stefan Swanland, Zero the Prototype, Exaginous, and Jeffrey Grubb. You could actually, that was Zero's music on the intro. That was
my first time hearing it. I was
very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. Always thankful that we have some awesome and fun creative folks on the Discord side of things. And in a couple weeks, knock on wood, we're going to have our theme week, our spooky season theme week. So that last week of October, come back. We got stories. We're going to have some podcasts. We're going to do some live streams. We're going to do gaming and movies and all that kind of stuff. So, and if you'd like to be part of the theme week, feel free to ping us either on the Blue Skies, where you can see our names there, or just go to SideQuesting.com, hop in the Discord, and let us know if you want to contribute something. It will be a lot of fun. Yeah. Start this tomorrow. I'm trying to watch. Don't worry. See, I was already late. Yeah, exactly. We have a bunch of stories to go over today. Not a ton, because it is just the two of us. So we're going to try to knock this show out in like 45 minutes if we can.
Yeah.
we have a couple stories. Let's go with Xbox related stories first. Now,
Well, we'll see if we can. This will be if we can get it under 45 minutes or not, because we always.
yeah, exactly. So, it has been a few weeks for Xbox, right? We've been talking about it nonstop over the last several weeks. It seems like the last 5 years, really, since the Series X and S launched. But Xbox is having a little bit of a thing going. They announced a couple weeks ago the prices of the ROG Xbox Ally and Ally X. God, what a name. And now they have launched, and there are reviews popping up everywhere. You can go ahead and pre-order yours. I'm going to link to this review. Our good friends at Opposable Thumbs, Ars Technica, used to be called Opposable Thumbs. It's our good friend Kyle. Hi, Kyle. Reviewing the Xbox Ally X. Awesome article, by the way. Definitely go through Kyle's phenomenal. Kyle loves to do these charts. God bless him. Just so good at this stuff. I will go through a Kyle Orland article just for the charts. But we've been chatting about this, the Xbox Ally X, and for the most part, it's getting some pretty good reviews out there. Like a lot of folks are saying this is a great piece of kit, great piece of hardware. No one is talking about the price, because when you're reviewing hardware, you kind of separate that because the price changes and but I think the biggest issue that I've seen, and we were talking about this as well, isn't so much the hardware, it's the operating system behind it. It is the Windows moving on from Xbox to Windows. And I say that non-lovingly. This is a great couple posts, couple images from Kyle here that you can see. Hey, Kate, you got sort of the home screen, right? It all looks kind of cool.
I think
Here's
it
some cool
operates
stuff.
similarly to like the Steam Deck, where it's like you have like the big picture kind of mode thing where you can kind of pretend that it's not just a small computer running in your hand.
Except when you get to this mode, which turns it into a small computer running in your hand. There are all those wonderful Xbox icons across or the Microsoft Windows icons, I should say, across the bottom. There's your typical time, battery left, but the concern that I've been seeing from folks is like, hey man, this is not an Xbox. This is a Windows PC with Xbox branding. And I think that is, I mentioned in the Discord, but I think that is maybe what's sort of the injustice of this thing, because having to slap that Xbox branding on this and telling consumers, those Xbox games you have, can't play them on this. You can play PC games, PC Xbox games, but those Xbox games that are maybe Xbox on your console, they're not on this one, because there are a lot. There are still
That is
plenty out
why,
there.
because I know a while ago, it's been a few years, they switched it up to where they're like, yeah, play anywhere, like buy it on Xbox, and you can play it on PC and on that stuff. So I wasn't sure like how many were still kind of stuck on like just the Xbox ecosystem that you couldn't play on PC.
There are apparently plenty of them, especially with a lot of the ones that you own. Like you might own a lot. Like I own, thanks to Games with Gold over those years, I was literally an Xbox Live subscriber for gold level just so I could get those, 2 games a month or whatever it was. It could be, and it was almost always an Assassin's Creed game. And it was like the 2D Assassin's Creed game, and then like maybe 1 or 2 weird indie games. But that was fine. I'll pay that like $12, $15 a month just to get those games. $10, whatever it was. But you can't play those because they're locked to your Xbox. And that is a real crying shame. And I think the issue is, again, that this is they're being sold as the ROG, Republic of Gamers, ROG, Xbox Ally and Xbox Ally X, and having to put the Xbox in the name there, Xbotched, there you go. That might be the title this week. Having to put the name there is, from a branding perspective, makes people think, oh, this is the Xbox. This is my next Xbox. So I'm gonna play all those Xbox games that I have, and you can't, and that's kind of sad. I almost wish, thinking about it, this should have maybe, because it's really just a PC, it's a Windows PC. Um, Maybe it should have been like labeled the ROG Ally with Xbox, something like. I mean, it's a very Nintendo-ish way of labeling and
Yeah.
branding stuff, but at least at that point, you're sort of letting people. You're not kind of throwing the wool over their eyes as to what this thing actually is. So,
And
yeah,
it is a
I don't know.
confusing thing because it's entering the like portable PC market, like
Yes.
trying to directly compete with Steam Deck and stuff like that. But it's like it's weird because like Microsoft is straddling both lines because they have the Xbox, but I mean they also have a juggernaut. They're the juggernauts of like PCs, and like that's kind of the thing that I'm thinking of with like the Windows 11 stuff. Is it's like it's the evil that you know. Like I don't know if anybody
Hmm.
actually likes Windows, but we all use
Right.
Windows.
Yeah.
We're in a Windows, oriented world like every day. I work in IT. We've been
That's why
literally
we
like
were 20 minutes
upgrading.
late, because I couldn't
Yeah,
freaking get Chrome to work well on Windows.
yep. And like, we've been upgrading all the
Okay.
computers,
Yep.
Windows 11, because 10 is like, I think it's out of service
Yeah.
now. I think as of
Today
yesterday.
or yesterday. Yeah.
Today.
Rest in
Yeah.
peace. Yeah.
I've been off all week. I don't know. But yeah, like, so like, I'm used to Windows. I understand it. Like under normal circumstances, I'd be like, I'm fine with Windows. Maybe I would get this, but it's like I got a Steam Deck recently, and I've been doing some like stuff on it, like installing emulators and stuff like that, not just playing like Steam purchased games. And it's like that Linux version is really stripped back
Hmm.
and like easy to use and very Windows like. And it's like I haven't really struggled with it at all, even though I don't actually use Linux that often.
Right.
But like this is just a full Windows 11. Like I think there's another screenshot
Yeah.
lower down in the article. It's just straight up like, here's the Windows Update screen in all of its glory. I'm like, Jesus, this is not the thing I want to see on my portable console.
There
Yep,
it
there we go.
is. Beautiful. Why?
Poor
Right?
Kyle accidentally putting out his personal email address there, but
Oh, oops. Yeah. Sorry, Kyle. Whoopsies. But
but yeah, no, like this is not what I want to see on a handheld console, even if it is a small
mm,
PC. I don't want to see all of this crap. Like I just need to see the bare minimum to get
yeah,
games to run and maybe like some other stuff to help
I'll
get
do this.
games to run.
Yeah.
Because yeah, like I want to be able to install like emulators and stuff on here. I don't want to be locked to like what is on like Xbox's store. But I also don't need a full Windows 11 machine in my hand. That's way too
Yeah.
much and it's
Yeah.
way too cumbersome because 11's not built for this.
Even everything they've been trying with 11, it's just like it's such a weird moment, right? And I know this is Xbox is sort of I mean, from their standpoint, this is an Xbox. Like where they kept saying this is an Xbox, but is
Yeah.
it really? It's not.
It's a
This
Windows
isn't.
machine. It's a
It's a
different thing.
exactly. It is a different thing. It's a Windows machine. Um, and that's what I think a big issue with all this is. It's like you're not your branding. I mean, Xbox has had a branding problem ever since the 360, right? They went to the instead of doing the smart thing like doing Xbox Next or 720, they went to Xbox One. It's like, well, okay, wait a minute. All right, well, then they had one X and one S. Then they went to Series X and Series S. Now they have the ROG Xbox, ROG Xbox Ally, and ROG Xbox Ally X, and it's just this confusing mess that Microsoft doesn't know what to do with the branding of this thing. Um,
Yeah.
but it's yeah, they need to do a branding reboot to what Xbox X is, because I don't think they know what it is. Yeah, this
Yeah,
like you
and
said,
I feel like I've had multiple, like, conversations with, like, non-gamer relatives, like, maybe looking to buy a
yeah,
Christmas gift before being like,
yeah,
"Okay, so what's the whole Xbox thing all about?" And I've had to explain it, and it's like,
yeah,
people rag on, like, the Wii U for, like, having confusing branding, but I don't
yeah,
think Wii U
yeah.
was half as confusing as this. I
Mm-mm,
really like,
mm-mm.
maybe, like, the grandmaiest of the grandmas, like, maybe got confused by the Wii U, but, like, no, a lot of people that are not super into the space like we are get confused by Xbox. Even sometimes
Yep.
I have to think, like I I got my best friend from high school a copy of Silent Hill F because
Mhm.
he got me into the Silent Hill and he wasn't able to get it at release. And I was like, listen, buddy, I got you. And we nearly bought him a physical copy until I
Hmm.
realized that the Series S, which he has, does not have a disk drive. And I didn't realize that until like the Amazon order
Oh
was placed, and I'm
yeah,
like, oh, I gotta
right.
cancel this. Hold on.
Yep.
Um,
No longer has a disk drive. That's right. Yeah.
and like, yeah, the PS4 or PS5 Pro doesn't have a disk drive either, but like, it still
It's
it gets confusing with this stuff.
and the price, like the price of this thing is not. Talking about the actual price side, the price is crazy. You can go to any retailer that still has Xbox products and pre-order this if you so want to, which is not a great sign. I've been checking this over the couple weeks or so since they announced that pre-orders are going live. Not once did did it even blink to not available. Like both these versions have been available.
Yeah.
And for all intents and purposes, I don't know why you would buy the cheaper version because you want to go with the one that's actually going to play the games, and that's
Yeah,
the
because
higher end
I
of it.
think the more expensive one is like more powerful than a Steam Deck technically,
Yeah,
which
yep.
is what you would want if you're trying to pick between like this and a Steam Deck. But it's like,
Hmm.
is it worth having to deal with all of the
Yeah.
Microsoft fun that you get with Windows? And I mean, like I'm not super into Linux. Like I haven't done a lot on the Steam Deck yet. I got Animal Crossing running, and my wife has been kind of hogging it. But
Hmm.
it's pretty easy to use. It's
Yeah.
and like it just functions. It's just fine. And like I know that like Windows would give me some trouble with stuff if I had a ROG Ally X trying to do some stuff. So
Yeah. Completely agree. Completely agree. It having the reason that people love these things, right? Reason they love these is
yeah,
because, and this is the Steam Deck. I have my Switch and Switch 2 over here. I have the PlayStation Portal. It has a singular direction. It knows what it wants to be. This is a PlayStation. This is a Steam box. This
yeah,
is a Nintendo box. And the nice thing, I mean, I joke in the Discord, even though I don't because I'm old, that I'd love to have something that can actually access GOG, and Epic Game Store. And I know you can get them added onto this, which I'm going to do. I know there's a few things out there. Um, and would I love to have it a separate button, like our little thing in an icon? Yes, for sure.
yeah,
I don't want to go into Windows to get those, and that's the only way to play it on here. You need a wholly unified, simple, clean user interface that is Xbox. Like here it is. By the way, hit this little button down here within Xbox, our green menu system that says log into your GOG account, log into your Epic Game Store, log into your Steam account, and then run it. You don't want to have to jump out into Windows at all. I want to avoid Windows because of the issue that I had today trying to get this thing started. Um, but
yeah,
yeah, it's just again, that's the advantage of these other ones. They're very singular, and it's like for those people that really want to do the other stuff, you can kind of get it up and running and working.
yeah.
But this
And I think
is
that's going to be the
yeah.
advantage if PlayStation does fully jump into this, because the Portal is kind of a half step. It
Hmm.
streams from your PS5. I've been using it a lot with Digimon lately, and it works fine with that. It's a little bit more finicky if you're doing something very timing based. I can't do rhythm stuff
Hmm.
on it at all. But like if they were to go full on, like we're gonna do a full handheld, like I feel like they would go more Nintendo's route where it's fully in
Yeah.
their ecosystem, maybe dockable, and because they don't have the PC side that like Xbox can branch out into, which
Right.
might actually be an advantage at this point because I don't know, people that want a handheld, I feel like don't really want to kerfuffle with all that PC stuff aside from like the really hardcore Steam people,
Yeah.
and like you're not getting those people with this.
Yeah.
You're just getting like the people that only have an Xbox, like
Yeah.
everybody that I went to high school with, it seems. But
No, I know. That's a great point. The Steam folk are getting a Steam Deck.
yeah,
The Nintendo folk. I love this picture right here because it shows, by the way,
hmm
the design and styling differences, and really how vastly different the Switch 2 is compared to the others. The others are just big, chunky, PC backend stuff. But the idea of who are you selling to, and yeah, Steam Deck, your Steam games, you're gonna go to Steam Deck. If you're an Xbox person that wants to dabble in Steam, that's when you're gonna get this that's like that may be the only folk that this is actually kind of being aimed at. But
Yeah. And I saw a Reddit thread earlier today that was like showcasing like negative like comments on like on the first Switch's like initial like reveal trailer, and like, oh yeah, who wants this, like, who wants to be able to like switch to portability, like Nintendo's dead. And then like I saw a comment that was like, man, people are talking about this like about Xbox right now. I
yeah,
feel like it's different with Xbox. It's that death by a thousand cuts again, because like
yeah, it really
they're doing
is.
some stuff that maybe not be their fault, like the weird price hikes that are probably more
Yeah, the situation.
political
Yeah,
related than just being greedy corporate people, which is part of it too.
yeah,
But
yeah,
that's not 100% of it. But then there's just stuff like this where it's just like, I don't know why you went with like building it as a Windows environment rather than just having like a stripped down like Xbox
yeah.
OS, which is still Windows based. I'll complain about like the UI, till the cows come home. But
I feel like part of it is they couldn't get a strictly Xbox portable device up and running, and I think that's why they did kind of they have essentially shelved that one, right? Because they had talked about doing it, and then I think right before they announced this sucker, they said, we're not doing it. We're going to actually work with a partner to release one of these things, or at least that's how the story goes. And so by working with a partner to release this, you can't do the actual Xbox. You have to do the PC version, and that's when you start to lose all the stuff that's in there. I would have wanted an Xbox that also plays the PC stuff, and not a
yeah,
PC that also plays the Xbox stuff. But yeah, I
because
don't
you
know.
could get people like that before the price hike with like just being like, hey, here's this, and then Game Pass. Like
Yeah.
that's a great way to get
Yep.
people into your ecosystem like that. And it's not like Xbox is like losing people. Like, I mean, like most like
Yeah.
normal people that I talk to that aren't like as into the entire spectrum of video games like me. A lot of them own an Xbox still. And like
Yeah.
I said, a lot of people I went to high school with, people that I work with that game casually, but like I'm obviously like the most hardcore person of the group. It's like they all have Xboxes.
Mhm.
So like you've got those legacy fans that have been around since the 360 blew up, and it's
Yeah.
like they are surviving on them right now, but a lot of them are jumping ship. I feel like I see posts every day about like, hey, I
Mm.
got a PS5,
Yeah.
So
Um, some more Xbox news here, which is super interesting to me. I know we're talking about the Ally, but they've also got their next hardware that they're working on. And for all intents and purposes, like there was a report that came out that said, "Hey, you should probably aim for 2027 for the next PlayStation and Xbox." Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Well, guess what? That's the 7 year. That if it's 2027, that's like at least 7 years right there, right? Depending on when it launches. It could be, I
yeah,
mean, if those even slip into 2028, that's 8 years. Typical game consoles are 6 to 7 years. You know, um, the the Xbox One and PS4 launched in 2013, and they followed that up in 2020 with the newer generation. So 7 years is a good amount of time for a generational length. However, it feels like it's really short right now because they're still putting out games for the Xbox One and the PS4.
yeah,
It's like, whoa, hold on a second here. Link that to this next story, thank you to Video Games Chronicle, that says the next Xbox should be stronger than the PS6, but more expensive too. Microsoft has been saying we're going to make the most powerful Xbox and the most powerful game console of all time as their next their next device, and it's like, guys, yeah, this is it's a PC console hybrid. Yeah, got it. That's what we were all thinking. I think uh, even Sony came out, like Xbox is working with AMD. Sony came out with an AMD. Was it Mark Cerny who's just in
yeah.
the
There's like a
video?
Mark Cerny
Yeah.
talk or something. Yeah,
But we're at the point where is this sharing? Nope, it's not sharing. I
yeah.
probably should
There
have
we go.
shared. There we go. All right, sorry about that. The next Xbox should be stronger than the PS6, but more expensive. Thank you to Video Game Chronicle. Yeah, the next is PC console hybrid. Blah blah blah. It is. We're unfortunately at the point right now where we're chasing power again,
Yeah,
and that's one of the reasons that has gotten us into this mess of games costing as much as they do, because we need to get that hot new Unreal Engine, all the software that goes into, the chipsets, the development time, like skyrocketing prices on hardware, AI.
Oh God, yeah.
He mentioned it. Exaggeramus mentioned this for the ROG, but this is a big story part. A big part of the story for consoles in general, next gen consoles, is the AI side, and that's gonna hike the price up. Like, if you can't keep the current Xbox at less than $600,
Yeah.
the Series X, that means the next Xbox, if it launches, let's say something magically happens and we're able to get the tariffs relieved by then, and prices can kind of level
I was
out.
gonna say they
Yes,
might wait to see if this administration gets
yeah,
another term before they. Yeah.
yeah, but even then, you're not going to release a product that's cheaper than the product you have in the market. You're not.
Yeah.
The idea of a $500 Xbox is gone. It's out. Forget it. Your next Xbox is going to start minimum $600, probably $700, if it has anything to do with what the ROG Ally and all that kind of stuff is. Your next Xbox could be $800 to $900 minimum starting, and that's before they even talk about doing a cheap version or another version,
Oh yeah.
more expensive of, quality wise. It's mind boggling to me when some of our favorite games over the last several years have been the ones that haven't been as, like, power hungry,
Oh
right?
yeah.
I mean,
I always like pay attention whenever I'm booting up games because my TV will like flicker whenever it
yeah,
turns like
yeah,
HDR on and off, and it's like the amount of games I play that don't even have HDR are like
right,
way up there. Like whenever it's like it actually has like HDR name, I'm like, oh okay, cool. It didn't flicker to black for a second. So it's
yeah,
like, yeah, I don't play like a lot of like super power hungry
uh-huh.
games, and the ones that I do are super super rare. So
Okay. Yeah, me too. I mean, that's why I still freaking love my Steam Deck. Love my Switch, the Switch 2. And those are not power hungry consoles by any means. Um,
yeah.
I really feel like, instead of, and there you go, Air, phenomenal game. It's on sale. I will buy it. It's on my wish list. I'm gonna spend the $6 and pick it up. But we're trying to sell power, and people are burnt out on power. Development studios are burnt out on power, because that also means it takes a lot longer time to put a game out there. The you used to, I go back to the Xbox 360, which was maybe my favorite home console, prior to the Switch. The 360 had everything going for it in terms of power level. It definitely wasn't more powerful than the PS3. Um, it was worse than a low level computer at the time,
Yeah.
but it had community built in. It had like tons of games. Xbox was pumping out games like it felt like 2 or 3 games monthly that they first party were pumping out, right? Then you had all the
Oh yeah.
third party developers. You had AAA, you had AA, you had single A, you had the indies with the they did the Summer of Arcade. You had the online stuff. They had so many cool features, and they've abandoned it strictly to focus on, since the Xbox One, strictly to focus on power and delivering the most realistic game possible. And it's like, well, I just want a fun game. I don't need a realistic game. And
Yeah.
I just feel like the power struggle right now is nuts. And when it gets to that level, if you're going to have the PlayStation 6 and the Xbox Next, whatever it's going to be called, launching in 2027, and both costing $800, $900, and this sucker has dropped a new Zelda game and a new Mario game and Donkey Kong 2 and major updates to Mario Kart, and it has, a bunch of new third-party games. I mean, what are you going to go for? You're going to go for the Switch.
Yeah. I mean, like
Again.
they can't even get like the performance and quality modes to run like
Yeah, yeah,
stable on like most of the games that we have now. It's
yeah.
like,
Yep.
I mean, they're getting
Why?
better, but I mean,
Yeah, but
at
it's
this
always in
point,
beta, right? It always feels like we're in beta.
and PlayStation even had that thing like whenever they or announced the PS5 Pro, it's like most people play in performance mode whenever they have a choice,
Yeah,
and like the 5 Pro is supposed to be like a supposed to be like, hey, we're gonna like meet you in the middle and like try to give you the best of both
yep.
worlds, and they can't do that. Some games
Nope.
run worse on PS5 Pro because of that. I think Silent Hill F does, 2 Remake also,
It's
I think.
nuts. Nuts.
But it's crazy, and I don't know how they're managing that.
Mm-mm.
But and my main
It,
concern with the new console is literally just losing backwards compatibility because it's rare
yes.
we go more than 2 console generations before they find some way to reset the backwards compatibility, and it's like,
Reset the
oh,
clock for backwards compatibility. I mean, to the
exactly.
point
And
where
it's,
they
I
even
don't
said
want
it.
to have a sorry.
No. Go ahead.
I don't want a PS6 that can't play my PS4 games. I don't want you to like give me
Mm-hmm.
an excuse to sell them again. I
Mm-hmm.
no, like for one, I will buy Kingdom Hearts again, but I don't want to. For like just let me put those old PS4 discs in my PS6 system. Even if you sell a separate disc drive, like
Yeah. Yeah.
just don't get rid of that stuff. My PlayStation is my media center. I don't want to buy a separate Blu-ray player either.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on. Like this is what you guys were selling stuff on.
Yeah.
But no, like I'm that's what I'm worried about. And like every time any new consoles release, I'm just like, oh God, am I gonna have to keep the old console plugged in for these other games I want to play?
Mm-hmm. It's just bonkers. And yeah, I've PSVR for me is a big one because you could get PSVR from PS4 working on the PlayStation 5, but PSVR for the actual PlayStation 5 VR couldn't play any of those older games. And I had just
Yeah, you need
a
like the
mess.
VR1 headset, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
I had a mess of cords just getting the VR1 headset to play for the PS5 because the PS5 wouldn't function unless you had the extra second, the separate cord. It was just complete mess. And I really think it's this journey into power is becoming a mess. Like I'm okay if both of these consoles. I'm okay if PS5 goes through like goes to 2030 because by
Yeah.
then I think we would have caught up with where the power by now we're
I think
starting to at that point you'd start to see things wanting to get pushed, right?
I think these consoles can last that long, especially
Yeah.
with the PS5 Pro. And
Yeah.
Xbox didn't have like a mid-season refresh this time, but I guess the X was a little bit more powerful out of the jump, so maybe it doesn't matter. But like if they dump like the previous gen support and like take more advantage of the PS5's
Yeah.
Pro's power, and then just dumb it down a little bit more for the
Mhm.
regular PS5 and Xbox, we should be fine until like 2030 at the least. We don't need another
Yep.
console this soon. But
And prices are never going down for consoles. It's like
yeah,
it's going to be $600 $700 for consoles. So um you at some point you have to either go all in on a cheaper console, like make it like PS5 Pro for the next 4 or 5 years, or you abandon the PS5 immediately and go right to the PS6. But you're not going to do that because you're still pumping up. I mean, the
yeah.
PS6 is going to come out. They're still going to be putting out PS4 games. That's
Yeah,
just
a lot of these games maybe even I'd be surprised,
yeah.
but they might run all 3 consoles because like
Yeah.
before this, I mean like the PS2 got games for forever, but like by the end
Hmm.
of its lifespan, it was like Wii ports that could run on it because the
I
Wii
mean,
wasn't
Just
powerful.
Dance was on the Wii, Wii U, and the Switch. So,
Yeah,
and
and
they
I
still
think a
made
lot of
money.
that was
Yeah.
accessibility for like hospitals and stuff that
Yeah,
use
for
there.
sure. Yep.
So
Yep. And like, what do we do with our old PS4s and PS3s? I mean, a lot of folks donated their PS2s and PS3s and their Wii's and their Xbox 360s and Xbox Ones to places like hospitals and libraries. And so those things still need content. Um,
yeah,
so, you almost want like a
but
device.
we don't need like all the newest games running on
Right.
them.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Exactly. You want I'd almost love it instead of, and I know I'm saying it and actually doing it is completely different, but what if the console was upgradable instead of having to buy a new console? Like, hey, I'm still playing these old games. They're still going to function, but I'm going to drop in the slot, like, the old NES and Super NES and the N64 and the PS2 had attachments everywhere. Just keep attaching stuff to make it more powerful to play the new games. I mean, it's the Sega 32Xification, right? You have a ton of, you just keep stacking stuff, and go ahead, stack that tower if it'll run the newest games. You can then put out a console, but at least that way you don't have to have two separate versions of games. You're actually able to play it on those old consoles if you buy the extra. I mean, it's wishful thinking, but yeah, there's kind of missing some
And it can
foresight
be a
on
little
some of
bit
these.
complicated because I'm even thinking right now,
Yeah.
like, oh, my PS5 where it is, it's a little tight. If I did actually have like an expansion thing to put on it, I was like, oh, I might have to move it. Worst
Yeah,
case
yeah.
scenario, maybe buy a new entertainment system.
Yeah,
But
but if you only have to spend $100 to get your PS5 to run PS6 games, it
yeah,
might be worth it than spending $700 to buy a brand new PS6, right, or
yeah,
whatever. So I think, I mean, maybe there's an option. I don't know. Anywho, we got till 2027 apparently, and I think we will likely hear about the next Xbox next year. We're probably, I'd say maybe a year off at least hearing anything else about the PlayStation 6. I don't want to hear about them. I just want games. Just flood my console with games, and that
yeah.
will keep me happy.
I'm rarely excited by a new console anymore. Like even like
Yeah,
with the
me
Switch
too.
2, it's like I bought it as soon as I could one because I knew it'd get expensive because of the stuff
Yeah.
going on. But also it was just like I just wanted the games. Like, yeah, I want Mario
Yep.
Kart. Yeah, I want Donkey Kong. And the exclusive conversation is complicated because on the one
Mm.
hand, it's like exclusives feel like a dead horse except for Nintendo in a way.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they're
No,
also
it's
what
true.
sells consoles. Like
Yeah.
if you've got a game I want, I'll buy it. So
I know there's folks who keep saying Nintendo should put their games on other platforms. No, not for Nintendo, because they are a toy manufacturer, right? They're not
yeah.
their console is their only bread and butter. So,
They don't
um,
necessarily have to be exclusive to
yeah,
one console. They could be exclusive to just the new consoles. That's kinda
correct.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that's
yeah,
the line we need to get
yeah.
over.
Yep, agreed, agreed. Um, there is one last little bit of news that I want to talk about, and I think this news is interesting because it kind of ties in with a little bit of what you've been playing,
Yep.
what I'll be playing tomorrow. Um, did you hear there's a new Pokemon game coming out tomorrow?
Yeah, I think there's
Yeah,
something
yeah,
about that, yeah.
next big Pokemon game.
Mhm.
Well, it leaked because some people got it early. They've been playing it and posting it. But you know what else leaked was apparently the roadmap about everything that was coming to the in the world of Pokemon. And this leak happened over I forget from where it was, but it GameSpot
Yes.
posted about it. A bunch of other places posted about it, and I'm going to share it because that would probably help. Um, Another one of those big, I think, Centro leaks or whatever. But yeah, there you go, Centro leaks, and it's supposedly internal documents and images for the next Pokemon games, right? And there's tons of them. So, spoilers for anybody. Let me put a spoiler warning on this one. I'm
Yep.
gonna hide this real quick. Big spoiler warning at the bottom. It's gonna say,
Yeah, because I mean, like, this seems pretty accurate because it's I remember seeing like the initial like, hey, Nintendo was hacked. They're like trying to ransom, and then they like I think posted this to kind of prove like, hey, we got the
yep,
goods. So
yep. So spoiler warning. We'll come back to this, and I'll get rid of that little warning when we're done talking. Okay. Anyways, here we go. Apparently the new Pokemon games for the next 5 years, and there's a lot happening. Pokemon Wins and Pokemon Waves and supposedly these were the image, the logo. They kind of look very
yeah,
boring to me, but
good names. I don't know. Wins
yeah,
and
good
waves is
names.
fun.
I'm actually I understand like the same amount of letters, and
Yeah,
I think I think it works, but and it takes place supposedly over the sea and a bunch of other stuff, but Pokemon Wins and Pokemon Waves is next year. Pokemon Winds and Waves DLC is 2027. The next Legends game is just 2 years away. It's a Galar region um, Legends game. I loved Arceus, and I'm looking forward to this one. And it was very competent when I played it on the preview session. I'll I almost like these more than the mainline Pokemon games now because those have kind of really
Yep.
gone downhill, especially this latest one. But and then in 2028, their big one is a multi-region remake. Um, so code name is Seed. So a multi-region remake could be a big. I know there's some notes here and there about what those are. And then that's in 2028 or beyond. And then in 2030, right now, tentatively Pokemon Gen 11. So that's 4 years after Gen 10, and we're still finishing up Gen 9, which came out 2 years ago, I think it was, or so. Or was that 2020?
Yeah, because that would have been with Scarlet and Violet, I guess. Yeah.
Oh no, that was 2022, right? Scarlet and Violet was
Yeah.
that 22? Okay, yeah, I think it was
So
22 because Zelda was 23. So it's been three. It's
yeah.
been 3 years already since that last mainline Pokemon game, and I think next year sounds about right for for Gen 10, and I'm sure we'll hear about it in February at their next big thing. But yeah, there is seems to be a lot happening in the world of Pokemon as we can, if this is true, as we can kind of see. Apparently their budgets kind of suck. And then oh, come on. See, this is why I hate Chrome as well as all these freaking ads that are popping up. The multi-region remake seems to be, goal is to let players walk seamlessly from Sinnoh to Hoenn.
Which would be awesome.
Yep, with Kitakami from Scarlet Violet DLC included there. So it's supposedly a connected world, almost an MMO-ish type of thing, right? So that seems kind of interesting. What's especially interesting at the name Seed also shows up in a separate context describing a prototyping project for next generation online Pokemon game. That multiple people, blah blah blah. So an online Pokemon game that's a game that's always online sounds like something that people. I mean, it's something that people have wanted. It feels
People
like
have wanted that for ages.
Ages, an easy win. But so we'll see. Pokemon Legends 3 set in Galar and taking things back to 1,000 years into the past. And you're going to be tasked with creating the first Gigamax Pokeball, which is, Galar, Dynamax, Gigantamax, all that kind of fun stuff. So again, nothing confirmed, yada, yada, but seems probably right. I could almost imagine another remake is in there somewhere.
Yeah, because they would
Right.
need to do what's after Diamond and Pearl.
Was it Black and White or XY? What is it?
Black and White, I think.
Yeah, people have been wanting Black and White for the longest time. Like a Black
Yeah.
and White remake would kill. Now again, this could also be older documents, right? So we don't know how old these documents are. They don't list Pokemon Champions, which is 2026, and that's going to be a big game. Like I think people are no one's talking about it. They're underestimating how big Pokemon Champions is going to be because it's Switch and mobile right away. But that's next year as well.
Again?
Champions was the online one where you bring in your Pokemon from other games. It's sort of like a stadium type of thing.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Stadium-like. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we call it a stadium-like, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's purely multiplayer battles. It's like it's always online battle type of setup. So I think it's a cool idea. And then I mean it seems pretty interesting, but we don't know because Pokemon hasn't had the greatest track record lately.
Yeah, Pokemon
Something else has, right? You've been
Yeah.
talking. Go ahead.
Pokemon has been really kind of in a weird spot recently because they've been the top dog basically for like these like kind of monster catching subgenre of RPGs since the beginning. I mean, like Pokemon started it all, and nobody else has really ever been able to come close.
Right.
In the 90s there was a bit of a rivalry between Pokemon and Digimon, but like Digimon was always the like underdog. And like you had kids like me that liked both. A lot of people like would get into the rivalry, and a lot of people that just like Pokemon just saw Digimon as like something weird. And of course, there's been other ones like Monster Rancher kind of fits. More recently, you've got stuff like Yokai Watch, Persona, and Shin Megami Tensei. I guess kind of count. They're a little bit different. You got Monster Hunter Stories now, and then like Digimon Story Time Stranger is obviously the big one. Came out just a couple weeks before
Hmm.
X and Y. Um, I think it's getting to the point where like between these games getting better and better and more successful, Power World as well, um, and the and Pokemon games just kind of like stagnating in a way. I think we're getting to the point
Hmm.
where they're going to start noticing more pieces of the pie being taken. Because for the longest time, it's obvious they didn't have to care.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Pokemon could put out whatever and it makes money. And I don't know if it is like the weird like joint ownership between like Nintendo and the Pokemon company and Game Freak and all that stuff that causes this because it feels very un-Nintendo like the way that
Hmm.
Pokemon is being handled. And I don't
Hmm.
know if there's just like pressure from like the Pokemon company to be like, let's make some cash, let's get stuff out. Um, but it's getting to the point where like large pieces of the pie are being taken. And I think Digimon is a big part of it with Time Stranger. I had a short week for work this week, it was Saturday and Sunday, and I just it's slow anyway. So I ended up watching like a lot of like streamers that had only played Pokemon games, checking out Time Stranger and seeing their reactions, and like across the board, people were like extremely impressed with what it was doing, wishing that Pokemon could do something
Right,
similar
right.
because they have such an ingrained fan base. Everybody loves Pokemon. My wife's cousin was wearing a Squirtle hat at the park yesterday. I saw Pikachu and Gengar stuffed animals as prizes for
Hmm.
like the little games that you can play. Pokemon's everywhere. Everybody knows Pokemon.
Yeah.
Um, but they've gotten stagnant. They are not trying anymore. The Legends
Hmm.
games feel like they're trying a little bit. I was
Hmm.
impressed with Arceus. My wife is
Yeah.
kind of more the Pokemon fan, and we talked a lot about it on the drive down to the park yesterday. But she really enjoyed Legends Arceus.
Same.
But I was really surprised to see that she wasn't super excited for ZA. Like, she hasn't been like chomping at the bits for it, wanting us
Hmm.
to go ahead and pick it up. I think it's just kind of one of those things where I like might get it on sale, but or just down the line we don't have anything to play because Nintendo games never go on sale hardly.
Right.
But no, it's just like been one of those things where it's just like been completely off my radar, and part of that is maybe because Digimon just came out like right before it, and I've always been kind of like
Mm.
more of a Digimon fan, but I've tried to come back to Pokemon a few times. I fall off of it, every time I try to get back into it. I remember trying when Black and White came out because I got really into Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which was kind of the last time I was really big into Pokemon.
Mm.
Because I the Johto region was always my favorite, really. Um, now I tried to get into Black and White, couldn't do that. I bought Sword and couldn't get into it. We got Scarlet and Violet after we had played Arceus and just didn't stick with it. It's just they've got to start trying more.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, for
and
sure.
and I don't know what it is, like the whole like multi-region idea of like maybe being able to like walk from region to region. That sounds like the perfect kind of ambitious thing. Because one thing that I had brought up was like part of what made Gold and Silver feel so big was you you went back to Kanto, however you want to say it,
Yeah.
after Johto. It felt like a huge deal to go back to the region you were in the first game, and like they've never tried that again.
Yeah.
Um, and like they have like gimmicks that they introduce in every game. You've got Mega Evolutions, Dynamax, Gigantamax, whatever all the other ones are. I can't keep up
Hmm.
with them because I don't really check out the games too often. But it, it's just starting to become really really hard for them to you know just keep resting on their laurels and just like living off of the name. And it's like they have
Yeah.
cute ideas. Like there's that one, I forget the name of it, but it was like Animal Crossing Pokemon where you're the Ditto and then you're
Oh,
you're
yeah, that
building
one
a
coming out. Yeah, it looks
community.
neat.
Yeah,
Yep.
like that looks
Also
neat,
next
and
year.
it's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and it's like that looks fun. That could be something like really cute, even for somebody that's kind of more of a lapsed
Hmm.
Pokemon fan like me. You have Pokemon Go, which took off huge that one summer, and then like you still have dedicated people playing that.
Yeah.
But that's still like super basic. You've got
Yeah.
the card game Pocket, which I was even like, I didn't really play the card game in it too much, but
I
I
play
loved just like
Pocket all the time. I still play
I
it.
would just
The
open
collection
packs.
aspect. Yeah, yeah, just
Yeah,
open packs.
it was a great counter to like people just you know
Hmm.
buying cards and not letting anybody get cards. Like the
Yeah.
the cards are always hard to get. But like I said, I think they're going to start struggling soon. Um,
Yeah. I
and
mean, I
this
think
might
they
be the
already are
start of it.
struggling. Even though they had great numbers on the the sales of Scarlet and Violet, they didn't match
Yeah,
Sword and Shield, and they probably won't match Sword and Shield, and I don't think
yeah,
the DLC will match Sword and Shield. I mean, I actually just finished Scarlet and Violet, or I guess Violet, um, a few weeks back after finally getting around to it, so I can get it ready, get ready for uh RC or Legends. And by the end of the game, I was like, actually, not even by the end of it, but like at like a third into the game, I just kept thinking, man, this is just boring. I'm
yeah,
just going through the motions to complete this plot and do some of the end game stuff, but it's just like there's it's not engaging. It's just
yeah,
not doing. There are some ideas there. Like they had a cool idea with the school. I thought, okay, now this is interesting because you can align to a school and this and that. Because I mean, with Pokemon Go, at least you are aligning to one of the three teams, and you can have battles that way and in certain ways. Um, but it felt kind of like a good idea for Scarlet Violet, and they never did anything. It's just the hub, and it's just like
yeah.
I mean, the update for the Switch 2, there are actually Pokemon everywhere, like literally everywhere now, to the point where it's almost overkill how many
Yeah,
Pokemon there are in the game. But it's just the structure of the game is just it's just not fun. So um, I'm curious to see where it goes. I'm curious to see what's going to happen next with Pokemon. I'm very curious to see how this Legends game does,
yeah. Because
and
I don't
when
have
they
any delusions that it's not going to sell well. I mean, it's going to be. I think
yeah
it's
yeah
already the top selling game on the eShop. It is probably going to do numbers
yeah
over
yeah
like
yeah.
like Digimon hit like 85,000 concurrent players on its like launch day on
Mhm,
Steam alone, and it's doing fantastically all across
mhm.
the board from what I understand. So and it's not a perfect game. Like it's
Sure.
got its problems as well, but it's kind of made me
Well,
realize that like
why don't you talk about you've
oh
been
yeah,
playing the game? Might as well just
yeah,
dive into talking about it.
might as well because
Let's get into
yeah,
games.
hey, because I mean the point I was gonna say before the segue was it's made me realize that I actually kind of like the monster catching kind of subgenre because
Mm,
like for the longest
mhm,
time I was always like like Pokemon's fine, it's a little bit boring, so maybe this isn't for me. I played Cyber Sleuth because it was Digimon and I enjoyed it okay, but
sure.
with Time Stranger, it's like I might try other games like this. Like I got the first two Monster Hunter Stories games
Mhm,
on sale, and I was like, I'll try these later. Maybe it'll be fun. But no, Digimon has been fantastic. Digimon Story Time Stranger, to get the full name out there. It is it is the next game in the story sub-series for
mm,
Digimon. You kind of in the trailer see some of the older games there, but these ones are more collection focused story RPGs with a
mhm,
very heavy emphasis on story. And it's just been fantastic.
hmm,
Really just going through and like, constantly thinking about like, what Digimon I want on my team, constantly like, training up the stats so they need to get to the right Digivolutions and finally hit Agent rank 5, which allows you to get the ultimate level Digimon. Because the Digimon evolutions have like a pretty set like rookie, champion, ultimate, mega, like all that stuff. But it's just been a great time. I think I'm like 30 hours ish in. And it's got everything that you would want from this kind
mm,
of game. I've been very impressed by the story so far. Some of the games have kind of like struggled with the story, and Digimon has always had a more in-depth story than something like Pokemon. Like a lot of people
sure.
like have wanted Pokemon to have like a more in-depth story, like, hey, here's your gyms, go to it. This definitely has more than that. Digimon has always had more of that because you've got the relationship between the real world and the digital world and all that stuff. Um, but I've just been having such a good time with it,
Mm,
just constantly going into the menu, staring at like what stats I need to get a certain Digimon, like to Digivolve up to that one, and just making plans on how to get there. It's tickling a part of my brain that rarely gets tickled, and it's been fun. Like I got my boy Patamon I
Love
got
it.
all the Digi eggs to armor Digivolve some of my Digimon. So my Padamon's hanging out as Pegasusmon right now. Might have to bring him back down and go up to Angemon again in a little bit and maybe get to Magna Angemon.
Hmm.
But yes, Wormmon, my wife's favorite Digimon. I finally got him up to Stingmon, and he's ready to eventually be fused into
Wormmon.
Pyuldramon with XVmon. I it's one of those games where it's like I'm very much enjoying it as a Digimon fan, but I'm really excited to see people that are not Digimon fans get
Mm.
into it. Like I need somebody on the Discord to start playing it because I want to see the kind of teams that people come up with that are not familiar with Digimon because I have certain favorites that I'm aiming for, and I am working like very hard to like kind of get those. And where Digimon have branching evolutions, across the board, you can get some pretty wild like jumps, and I'm just kind of curious to see what people end up with that don't know it.
Garfieldmon.
No, stop! I was a dumb kid. Writing weird Garfield Digimon crossover fan fiction. Um, but no, like I said, I'm really curious to see like what people that don't have this familiarity end up with and like who their favorites end up being because that's going to be very interesting to me.
Mm.
Um, so it it's not perfect. Like I said, I do have some complaints about it. The Digifarm where you can set your Digimon
Mm.
to kind of passively like raise a stat. It takes like 30 minutes, or you can pay like 10,000 yen to like do it quickly. Um, you can't see the Digivolution menu in there,
Hmm.
which gets a little bit annoying because you have to like pull your Digimon out, back out of the Digifarm, which you can only access in certain areas. It's kind of like the Velvet Room where like you find a door in random places and you can go in there. Um, and like that's been a very huge complaint across the board is like not being able to see the stat requirements while you're in the Digi farm for the Digivolution that you want. So you
Hmm.
have to like back out and like or write it down or take pictures. So it's still like clunky in some aspects. They've cleaned up a lot of stuff, but this is the one to get into if you've been curious about uh Digimon or just curious about like monster catching, monster taming
Hmm.
games that are not Pokemon. This is the big one to check out. This is
Hmm.
in the running for one of my like maybe
Oh,
my
really?
personal game of the year. And all three of them have come out like in a row, and I've been like working on them all right now,
Yeah.
right in a row. Because like Trails in the Sky, I even got a
Yeah.
review code for it, so I got a little bit early, but I'm still trying to chomp through it because it's such a big game.
Sure.
And Silent Hill F is so good, and we're working
Uh,
on our new game plus run of that, and like this has been so good. So it's just like hard finding the time to split between all of these great games. But like I've been in love with this game since the moment I started it up, and I'm happy that it is as good as it is. I'm hoping that it keeps up the momentum for the end game.
mhm.
Um, and it's just one that I would recommend to anybody that likes these kinds of games, and especially those that want to try something that's not Pokemon. And especially with ZA coming out, I know a lot of people are making their decision right now if they're going to get it at launch, if they're going to wait for it. And it's like if you're not sure, check out this game. I don't think that you'll be disappointed.
Mm.
Um, I it's just good. um, if you have any questions, I'm glad to answer them. I'm
I
kind of good with Digimon lore, but there's been a
yeah.
big gap where I skipped a bunch of stuff. So it's like I'm not even like a super expert. Like I watched the show a lot as a kid. I had
Mm.
a big gap for a number of years. Really just kind of came into it as an adult with like more of the new age like adventure movies where like the original kids are like in high school and then adults. And like this is kind of like me getting like fully back into it, like, oh yeah, no, I like Digimon. So
It it's interesting because I have no connection to Digimon at all. And I didn't watch the anime when I was younger, never played the Digimon game. I know they're always on sale, so I may dip into one of the games on the Switch when it drops down to the 2.99, 3.99 lovely price that they have every
yeah, I
once in a
think
while.
Bandai does good sales. So I've seen some
Yeah,
people
they do
being
good
like, yeah,
sales on
Time
them.
Stranger will be super cheap, soonish. So yeah, if you do want to wait till a little bit later,
Well,
I don't
I mean, the nice thing
blame you.
about just as a side note, the nice thing about dropping the price of games really cheap is it gets you excited to play the next game. It's almost like free at marketing. Anyways,
Mhm.
but what I've appreciated about the last couple, at least the story games, is that they're definitely more adult from a storytelling methodology, right? So you're not
Yeah.
the Pokemon games, they're meant for all ages, right? A young child, my 10-year-old nephew can play it and get
Hmm.
the themes because there aren't any special deep themes. Um, whereas and that works at a very basic level, but it doesn't, it can kind of be hollow, which is what I do appreciate what they're doing here. It seems so like it, and I'm sure you can attest to this while you're playing it, is that the plot and the story is a much greater part in this than what you would find in a Pokemon game. Like
Yeah.
I want to continually build forward, and just this quote unquote gameplay trailer that we're watching, to me, is like, this is all story. This is really cool. Like, this is the kind of stuff that I really wish um Pokemon games had, and so
Yeah.
when these monster ranching and monster collecting games have that, it immediately changes how I interact with the game, because they do drive me towards I love a good plot. That single
Yeah.
player experience to me is fantastic. Pokemon doesn't have a single player experience. It's a personal experience. I want a good single player plot, and this looks like it has it. So
It
I'm
absolutely does, and, like, even back in the older days, that was always a thing that stood out to me between Pokemon and
sure.
Digimon. It was like Pokemon, even, like, in the show, it was like, Ash, his adventure of the week, just kind of you can jump in whenever. It didn't have, yeah, a continuity, but it wasn't, like, super contingent on you, like, watching every single
Mm,
episode in
hmm.
order. Digimon has always had, like, a more in-depth plot, getting a little bit darker. That was always the thing that I noticed, like, people reacting to stuff from Digimon. I'm like, oh wow, this gets dark, especially when you get out of, like, the more edited Saban era, where, like, they did a lot of edits to the English dub. Um, but it it's doing a lot with the story, especially, like, the relationship between, like, Inori and Aegiomon, who we can see here, who are kind of like filling
Yeah.
in, like, the tamer partner relationship that you get a lot of, because you're collecting Digimon, you're raising them, you can talk to them, but they're not like characters in the story. But there are
Mhm.
many Digimon that are characters in the story. You speak to, you talk to them, and Aegiomon is, like, the top, one of them. I even got the Ultimate Edition, and I got the cool Aegiomon card here.
Look at that.
So
Look at that.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely expecting some, like, more emotional beats
Mm.
as the story goes on. I can even feel it. There was, like, an anime prelude thing that they uploaded to their YouTube channel a couple
Yeah.
days ago, and
Yeah,
I
that was
watched
cool.
that, and I was like, I kind of know what it's covering, because they brought it up a couple times in the plot,
Mhm.
but they haven't gone, like, full, like, reveal. So maybe it was a little spoilery for me, but even that, I was like, oh, I can feel the emotion in this. Like, even
Cool.
the theme song, whenever you hear it start up, you're like, oh, you're going for, like,
Mhm.
a, like, sort of soft ballad thing, like, No Promises to Keep from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This game's probably gonna make me cry. I'm pretty sure of that. um,
Very cool. Very cool. Awesome.
but yeah, definitely recommend it.
Cool. I've been playing a game for review as well. Well, your game wasn't a review, but mine is. So
I will
I've been
probably write a review, even though they didn't
sure.
give us a review code, so
Yeah.
that Bandai
Sure.
Namco will maybe look at us next time, because I know you tried.
Yeah. Um, I have been playing Absolum, and Absolum is a very interesting concept. Obviously, roguelikes and roguelites are all the rage right now. And Absolum is that, but it is that in a brawler, like a side-scrolling brawler beat 'em up style experience. And so yeah, the real interesting thing about Absalom is that there are several, right? It's got the plot behind it is that it's essentially you're sort of set in almost like a D&D style world, right? There's goblins, there's swordsmen, there's elves, there's dwarves, the typical fantasy world. The world's sort of been broken apart, and there's all these different factions are at war, and magic has been sort of outlawed, forbidden. We can use magic, and thereby we're a rebel. We can kind of choose. I think the game lets you choose between two initially, and I'll get to those in a little bit. But yeah, we can use magic. So we're trying to stop this guy, the Sun King, who's trying to collect power and send the world into even further cataclysm and all that kind of craziness. Um, and do more damage. And we're aligned with Uchawi, I think is her name. She's a goddess. She's kind of fighting to save the world. And that's where the loop kind of comes in, right? As we die, she resurrects us on our runs. And you can kind of see it in the video here. So there, it is a side-scrolling beat 'em up, right? And it has that that Hades style of branching paths and storytelling that that roguelikes like to do, but I think Absolum does a good job of it, of getting more towards the kind of world development and plot aspect. And so what I mean by that is there are taverns, there are the map is sort of persistent. It's sort of I don't say static, but it doesn't necessarily change. So you have paths and you can explore different paths, but a lot of times you'll go to some of the same places 2 or 3 times, during, in some subsequent runs. That can get a little wearing sometimes because you do start to see some of the same areas over and over again. But because it's meant to be this large actual world with an actual plot behind all the different areas, and the fact that they look absolutely gorgeous, I think it's okay from my standpoint when I'm playing it, because I didn't mind it as much seeing some of these locations over and over again. It just kind of felt like I was adventuring and making my death and rebirth purposeful. One thing I don't love in a typical roguelike is when I do die and get resurrected and I have to relearn all new paths all over again. Doesn't always it isn't always the best, because you can kind of get comfortable and then all of a sudden the next path you take, it's a completely different setup and wipes the world clean. So having sort of that these definite hand created, curated paths, I think is or locations is nice. And it also helps that the art is so freaking amazing. Like, I love this style. It has that I mentioned D&D. It has that 1980s Dungeons and Dragons animation style to it. So you can kind of see the map there.
I see that,
and it's hand drawn. In fact, as I was playing the game, it felt like doodles in my notebook, like that style of D&D type of character design, ship design, world design, enemy design. It's like, I think I probably sketched some of this stuff in junior high or high school, chemistry class or whatever. It's like I love the art style. I love the inking. There's definitely sort of a comic book feel to some of this stuff. I love the line work. I love the animation is actually very smooth, but it's purposefully looks like it's got like 10 frames per second on the character. Like, there's shots where you'll see like a cape. The cape will have sort of this very animation style movement of frames and cells, but you're actually moving in 60 FPS as you're coming across the screen. You just have some interesting things with the animation taking place. So I love that aspect of it. Beautiful animation, beautiful audio, great soundtrack. I will say, though, because it's aligned to a beat 'em up, much like in that genre, the story isn't super interesting, but it is kind of made up for it with, again, great character design. We have those 2 choices. You start with like an elf named Galandra and a dwarf named Carl. You get a couple more later on. And then we come up to enemies. We can do melee attacks. We can do ranged attacks depending on what character we have. We can gain experience and gems, and you open up more moves, and we can strengthen our moves. And you can, like, combos are a huge part of this, which harkens back to the beat 'em up genre, right? Combos are what that genre and what brawlers are all about. You're linking attacks, and you're doing stuff from proximity, whether it's close, whether it's distance, whether you got like a finisher move. And this game has a lot of cool finishers, a lot of ways to augment your attacks and combos. And I enjoyed that aspect of it. It was really cool. The tree isn't super deep to improve stuff, but I think because of the nature of the game as a brawler, I think it's kind of okay. Um,
Yeah.
I love that action. Uh, I love beating up the enemies. I started off with Galandra. You can actually switch back and forth depending on when you get to like these sort of fire pit areas. I love Galandra. She has this awesome sword that you can start with sort of a distance attack. And then you can upgrade it to like this explosive swipe, and you can get wind attacks in there, and stuff open up even more. Carl is like he's this dwarf that has like this big old dwarven gun, which is wild because dwarves usually consider with axes, right? So,
Guns are good.
yeah, exactly. We can dodge and parry and deflect projectiles. It has a lot of that brawler stuff in there, but with this cool art style, very neat setting, great soundtrack, and then the roguelike aspect of it. And again, I mentioned it has a persistent map because there are specific like it's not just one long run. Like even the game will call it runs. You're going on runs, and you can reset
Oh
the
yeah.
run. Like run is written in there, but there are actually like quests, and there's side quests and mini quests and major quests.
Hey, SideQuest.
Side quests. And I thought that was actually really kind of interesting because you'll typically get those in sort of hub worlds where your quest will be open defeat a certain amount of enemies type of quest. But no, in one of the first quests you get in this game is that there's a bridge out in one area, and your goal is to speak to the kind of the goblin chief to get them to repair the bridge, because then that will open up the rest of another section of the map, your movement around the map. Well, the only way to do that is you have to actually get to them first, get to the goblin chief first, and you're gonna die a lot getting over to them. And it's funny because the people are like, "Oh, it's you again. You're back. I thought I just saw you walk by," type of stuff. But you're getting resurrected, and you're building up your character. Um, you do kind of lose some of your really cool attacks. So you do have to start to build them up all over again. It's a bit like when you're almost playing a shoot 'em up, a shmup, where if you lose your shots, your cool weapon, you have to build it all the way back up. And it kind of happens with this. So there, some of the stuff you'd want to keep in between runs, you don't necessarily have. But that idea of having these like secondary quests and tertiary quests, I think is really cool because it's pushing me forward. It's not just a run where I'm beating up as much as I can and try to get as far as I can. There's actually little hooks that go and pull me forward. And I really like that. I like opening up all those paths. I appreciate that I'm not having to relearn every new path when I'm playing it. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was surprising how well the idea of a beat 'em up roguelike works. And I know there have been sort of versions of this within beat 'em ups, like little modes within other beat 'em up games, but actually building a full game around this and having a good meaty story, and cool character design, and I think it all works out really well. And I'm playing on the Steam Deck, which I love, and it's functioning fantastic on the Steam Deck. You can play multiplayer, you can play online with other folks, which is really cool. I want to play this on my Switch as well. I think it's out for the Switch. I think portable is a terrific way to play this game. So yeah, Absolum, really cool. And I haven't finished it, but I've opened up like the entirety of this map, and it's just so cool because there are certain moments in this you're like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't expect to go there. I didn't expect to experience this type of thing in this kind of a game. Really surprising, cool things that end up happening, and the way they're kind of approaching some of the stuff that you'd find in a roguelike, but really doing that beat 'em up spin is really cool. So yeah, very surprised by this game. Kind of came out of nowhere. Not a lot of people are talking about it, but I think they should, because this is one of those games that I think nails the roguelike and beat 'em up genre to a T. And I think it's worth checking out if you like either of those. So yeah, very cool. Absolum.
Yeah, it looks cool. It's
Yeah.
just October is just so so
It's
slammed. I feel like
so
that's
it's
yeah,
nuts. I wish they would delay a lot because I looked at like my review list and I have a bunch of reviews that I'm still playing through, and there are more games coming this month. There's like big RPGs coming. There's
yeah.
um you got Call of Duty, Battlefield just launched. You have a bunch of indies showing up. It's absolutely nuts. I mean, it's okay to
I don't
push
know when
things into the new
October
year.
became the big month. I guess because Christmas is like close enough to where it's like you
Yeah,
can get stuff out and like people know it's good so they can ask for it for Christmas. But like,
I think it really felt like maybe like 8 years ago or so when Call of Duty used to always be November, and it was almost always like the 1st or 2nd week of November, like right
yeah,
around Veterans Day, and,
that makes sense.
it does, it really weirdly does, like, it was usually like those first couple weeks, um, always launch around then, and then they pushed it into, like, the end of October for a while, because there were some other big games come up. But then, yeah, now Call of Duty just sort of handles November, and everybody backs since it got so big, everybody's just kind of backed away from Call of Duty and filled up October with gaming stuff. I think Nintendo has enough product where they actually have a couple things in November every year. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And then
it's
Metroid is December, and I don't know
and
how much of
Metroid's
that is like we need that extra time rather than like we actually want to release in December. So
Yeah, yeah. It's part of me, I'm okay with people releasing in December because I will be swamped. There's again, RPGs are going to be running my life the rest of this month and all of November. Um,
yeah,
and
two big RPGs for
yeah,
me, and then a
yeah,
horror game that requires 3 playthroughs to get the whole
yep.
story, which I
There
don't
you go.
mind. That's Ryukishi's vibe, but like it's busy. And I still haven't
Oh
even finished
man,
like
it's nuts.
Bonanza. We restarted Bonanza and have been playing that like
Oh,
a
cool.
little bit
Okay.
at a time whenever we can. But
I've gone into the roguelike mode, the DLC for that and playing, and it's actually it's so good. It is. It's very obvious. It's very like basic as to what it is, but it's just executed so well. And it's actually a deep roguelike that you don't need to do because there's no story behind it. It's
yeah,
literally just like, yeah,
because
you're
a
just
part of me is
getting
like,
to
I
doing
should get it because I want to run around DK Island, but I'm like, there's nothing
there's
there
nothing
aside
to
from the
do there.
roguelike
Yeah,
mode.
yeah. But God, that's one of the games going to be on my top 10, top 5 probably for the year. It's an insane year. There are still more games coming. I know Zach's got a review that's coming out in November that he's excited about. That he'll talk about. There's like God, it's bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers. Again, and this game kind of came out of nowhere, and I feel bad for it because in the hullabaloo, in the massive release schedule shift. It's just crazy. And could you have imagined if Grand Theft Auto stuck with October and what that would
Yeah,
have done to everybody? Like that would have scattered. I almost wish maybe it did stick in there because that would have scattered everybody out into like
yeah.
later this
What
year and 2026, which would have been fantastic.
I feel like whatever month GTA does end up landing, it's gonna end up just kind of becoming like a permanent dead zone. Like it's gonna like
Yeah,
leave
yeah.
like an impression of like we just shouldn't release games on this month.
Well, a lot of
Like
folks, yeah, like January and February is absolutely packed with games because people are staying away from mid 2026 because of the GTA factor. It's like everyone's just like, let's
yeah,
throw everything in those first 2 months and get out of the way.
February's always been like weirdly busy, like January,
Yeah,
February. At least maybe for stuff that I like, because like Resident
no,
Evil, like all
it's
those have been
always
coming out in
yep.
like February. Kingdom Hearts has been like January, February for like their re-releases in three.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a nutso beginning like from here through God, from here through like April, it's just gonna be bonkers. And then we're gonna get into after that. I think we get into the actual Switch 2 games, the new Xbox. So we'll be hearing about all kinds of stuff in the next like 4 to 6 months, and it's gonna be an absolutely insane time for
and then God
gaming.
knows what gets
Oh
announced at Mr. Keeley's Game Awards that's gonna like
yeah,
keep us talking. Because I
yep.
mean, the awards or whatever, but like the man, he gets the announcements. I can't deny that for him.
No,
So
for sure. And I was tempted to go, but it's so freaking expensive. Jeff, I know you're listening. I know you watch the show and listen to the podcast. I'll take a free ticket, dude. I paid a lot the last couple years.
yeah,
I want to go to Lions games. this year and actually support my local team. So if you could just flip me a free ticket. I know you're from Canada. You're big into the Canadian Football League, but come on. Anyway, so
and you know what? While we're at it, Summer Games Fest, we'll show up there.
Yeah.
We'll hang
Show up
out
there
on
again.
like
That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Yep. Jeff, we're gonna do the party list for both of your events. Okay, let us.
Yeah,
just tell us.
that's our thing. Party list. Let us do a party list.
Yeah.
I don't know what parties there are.
Jeff watches. Sure, he does. Totally
Sure.
does.
I'm sure a Jeff out there watches. We have a Patreon.
Jeff watches. Yeah, Jeff watches. Tyler, thank you again. It was not 45 minutes. It was an hour and 20.
I knew Xbox would push it over.
It did. It just technical difficulties, getting everything set up and trying to catch up with everything. But it was actually a tight 120. So in a weird way, it worked out.
We're
always a lot of fun. Yeah. You could happily, you guys have watched this podcast instead of going to see Tron Ares. And I will leave it at that. SideQuesting.com, SideQuesting TV on YouTube and Twitch. Hop into our Discord off of SideQuesting.com. Tell your friends and family. The nice thing about liking and subscribing to our YouTube page is that it doesn't do anything to you. It helps us get more visibility. And for you, lovely viewer, potential viewer, you can just scroll past it. But just getting that subscription is like, I got my dad to subscribe. I got my nephews have their accounts subscribed. I'm trying to get my daughter to subscribe, but she's dad's not cool enough for her to subscribe. I'm like, you never have to just click the subscribe button. In fact, it will improve the algorithm.
I'm excited
improves the algorithms.
I'm more excited to tell people about this than I am my regular job, because whenever I tell people my regular job, they just start asking me computer questions, and I'm like, I don't want to talk about work. Let's talk about Windows
games. 11. With that, we'll see y'all on the next episode of the Side Quest. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Love ya. See ya.